Haribo, namaste. Krishna, welcome to my chant of my Bhagavad Gita class. Tonight we're going to be studying Bhagavad Gita chapter 5, text 11.
Bhagavad
Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Satara Sata Shishi Mad Jagakuru Siddhasarupananda Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivrajaka Satara Sata Shishi Mad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Kota Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur's World Mission Ki Jai. Navadvita Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gaur Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhani Ki Jai. Vrindavanam Ki Jai. Mathuradam Ki Jai. Mayapodam Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Ki Jai. Jamuna Mai Ki Jai. Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai. Srimad Bhagavad Gita Ki Jai. All glories to Samal devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Samal devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Samal devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Gaura Premanandi, Hare Hare Bol. Amagina Timurandasya Ganagana Shilakaya Chaksurun Militanyena Tajmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantekam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Parakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangi Radhi Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sutu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakapa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanan Pavendriyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So before speaking, first I offer my humble obeisances at the lotus feet of my spiritual master, Jagatguru Siddhasarupananda Srila Prabhupada, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Srila Prabhupada is the mercy manifestation of Lord Chaitanya, is very dear to Radha and Krishna. I offer my respectful obeisances to the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord who are like wish-fulfilling trees, able to fulfill all the desires of the fallen living entities. Haribol, Namaste. Thank you very much for watching, for joining me live or watching this later. As we continue our discussion on Bhagavad Gita, chapter 5, text 11, we're up to tonight. So the first chapter of Bhagavad Gita is very much sort of setting the scene, an introduction to what's going on here at the Battle of Kurukshetra. So of course the Bhagavad Gita fits within the Mahabharata, the history of Greater India. And the whole Mahabharata is really about the story, or the major story running through it. It's not a story actually, it's a history, but the major history running through it is a conflict between the Pandavas, the sons of Maharaj Pandu, and the Kurus, the sons of Dhritarashtra, so headed by Duryodhana. The sons of the Pandava, Maharaj Pandu is headed by Maharaj Yudhisthira, who's the rightful heir to the throne. And so it's an unusual setting for a spiritual discourse. Like, normally when you're thinking of a spiritual discourse, you're thinking of some kind of discussion taking place either in a church or at a mosque, or in a lecture, a class, right? Maybe something like what we're doing here. We're talking, we're sitting on a seat, kind of in a spiritual atmosphere, nice pictures of Radha and Krishna Balaram, my spiritual master, with books of Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the altar behind me. So a very sort of spiritual atmosphere. And we're having a discourse speaking from Bhagavad Gita. Right? And we just had a Kirtan. And we're sort of in the mood to hear about this great spiritual discourse, this song or Gita, but spoken primarily between Krishna and Arjuna. Whereas the actual speaking of Bhagavad Gita is taking place on a battlefield. And the situation we have is that, this conflict between the Kurus and the Pandavas has come to a head, and there's no resolution for it other than war. So it's a tragic situation, disaster. Many millions of people are going to die, and there's going to be impacts on their family members, as Arjuna points out. So this is the setting of Bhagavad Gita. So, in a sense, the whole story of the Mahabharata is giving the background to the speaking of Bhagavad Gita. And so Bhagavad Gita begins, with Arjuna wanting to renounce action. He doesn't want to fight, and I won't go into it in great depth, been into it many other classes, but so very much the Bhagavad Gita is about action and renunciation of action. Arjuna is wanting to renounce action. I don't want to fight. I don't want to perform my duty. Like, we all take birth in a certain family. We have certain, as a result of our past karma and past activities, we have a certain kind of subtle body, we have a certain kind of gross physical body, and we have a certain duties and responsibilities that go with our particular kind of mentality and our particular vana, or occupational duty. In particular, Arjuna's occupational duty was as a kshatriya. Kshat means to protect. So Arjuna's swadharma, or his own duty, or his swabhava, his own nature, is a warrior. As Krishna says later in Bhagavad Gita, no matter where you go, Arjuna, you're going to end up protecting and fighting. It's just your nature. So either you fight here on the battlefield or you fight somewhere else, wherever you go. Like if he renounces action and goes off and comes a pretender renunciate, wherever he'll be, some kind of injustice will be taking place, and naturally, as a result of his nature, he will try to prevent the injustice. He'll try to right the wrong. He'll defend the weak against the exploiters. This is Arjuna's nature. So anyway, Bhagavad Gita begins with a situation where somebody is wanting to renounce their prescribed duty. his swadharma, his duty as a kshatriya, his duty as a warrior. So then the next chapters 2 to 5, and we're in chapter 5 right now, is primarily where Krishna is explaining to Arjuna, no, you got it wrong, mate. You should perform your duty. You need to perform your duty, your prescribed duties as a warrior. This is what you should be doing. And so Krishna is describing this in terms of what's known as karma yoga or nishkama karma yoga. So performing one's duty without attachment to the results. It's the reason why someone is doing something that makes it either good or bad. So for example, the Duryodhana, Arjuna's opponent, he's wanting to fight because he wants to be the king. He wants to exploit the kingdom. He wants to be the enjoyer, just as in the gambling arena, where much of this conflict between the Kurus and the Pandavas occurs, is they're dragging in Draupadi, Arjuna's wife, or all of the Pandavas' wife, by the hair, and they attempt to strip her naked in the assembly, to enjoy themselves, some kind of perverse sense of enjoyment, exploiting and demeaning a princess. And they're cheating. He's cheating. They're playing a crooked game of dice, loaded dice, with his uncle, his crooked uncle, Sakuni, is cheating. Because they want to get the kingdom. It's all based on enviousness. Duryodhana is envious of the Pandavas. Hey, I should be the king. Who are you? There's a whole kind of background to this that I could go into more, but essentially Maharaj Yudhisthira is the rightful heir to the throne. Now, through circumstance, Dhritarashtra, Duryodhana's father, was the regent, and he was regent for a long time. And so his son, Duryodhana, he has actually 100 sons, but Duryodhana is the eldest son, he's feeling that he's entitled to be the king, the emperor. And Dhritarashtra, he's also feeling resentment that I should be the emperor. But hey, just because I'm blind doesn't mean he was the elder brother. He should have been the king, but because he was blind, he was considered ineligible, and so his brother Pandu was made the king. But, Pandu died early. In fact, even before he died, Dhritarashtra was the regent. And so he got attached to the idea of being the king. Why, I should be the king. Just because I'm blind, why am I disqualified? But unfortunately, Dhritarashtra was blinded not only physically blind, but also he was blinded by his lust and his enviousness, his desire to be the king. And so this Duryodhana is also blinded by his lust and his envy. He wants to enjoy the kingdom. He wants to exploit the kingdom. So this desire to be the enjoyer and the exploiter, that this is mine, I'm entitled to it, I want to enjoy it, I want to exploit the people, I want to collect the taxes, I want to live in the big palace and have beautiful dancing girls every night, so on and so forth. I want the people to look up to me and respect me. I want to have power. I want to be the dominator, and I want people to respect me and look up to me, and I'm the center. I'm the center, and everyone else exists for my pleasure. Right? So when one engages in action with this mentality, then one is entangled. It's entanglement. I'm attached to the fruits. I want to enjoy the fruits of my actions. I want to, in Duryodhana's case, he's wanting to conquer neighboring countries. He's wanting to take over the whole kingdom, and he wants to enjoy the fruits of being the king. So he's attached to the results of his actions, and this is entangling and tangles him within this material world. So we become entangled in this material world as a result of our desires and our attachments. Like, we are not this material body. We're spirit soul. We're the Atman, the Atma. We're spirit soul. We're not this body. We have nothing to do with this world. It's all like a dream. Right? When we go to sleep at night and we have a dream, all these things start happening. And we start feeling that we're involved, and these different things are taking place, and I'm thinking I'm this person or that person, I'm enjoying this and I'm enjoying that, I'm doing this, I'm doing the other thing. And then we wake up, it was just a dream, it wasn't real. Okay. All right. So this is like our sojourn in the material world. It's like a dream. While we're experiencing it, it's real. Just like the dream is real, the dream actually occurs and takes place, but it has no ultimate reality to it. Or it can be like, more like, another example is like as we watch a movie or something, right? We're watching a movie or some TV show, and we identify with what's going on. And we get all, absorbed in the story. And then it ends, and it's like, okay, all right, well, now back to reality. It's like escapism. We sort of escape through our identification with the characters. And but anyway, so it's real, but it's temporary. Just as the dream is real, but it's temporary. Our whole existence in this particular body we have is real. It's like I'm really speaking to you here. We're really, and you're really listening to me if you are. And, but it's temporary. Your existence within this body is temporary, 100 years max. Maybe a few more years if you're ultra lucky, but generally speaking, you're not going to make the 100 years. So it's false in that sense. It's not real. Like the Mayavadis, the impersonalists, followers of Sankaracharya, say it's false. This world is false. It's illusion. Whereas the Vaishnavas say, no, it's real, but it's temporary. So in that sense, it's false. But so my point is that so we should perform the performance of actions. This attachment to the results, this sense that I am this body and I'm trying to enjoy through this body and my senses. This is what entangles us. These desires and attachments that we have, they actually they are the shape of our subtle body. The gross physical body has a shape, a form, and the subtle body actually has a form. It's the form of of our desires. And at the end of this particular body that we have, the shape of our desires transport us to our next body. The gross senses form around our subtle senses, our subtle desires. It's under the arrangement of Daivam or Providence or Super Soul. We're awarded our next body after the end of this body. So Arjuna, he's wanting to not act. He's wanting to renounce action because he doesn't want to engage in these bad activities. Duryodhana, he's wanting to engage in actions because he wants to enjoy and exploit the world. So So what Krishna is teaching in these chapters on Karma Yoga, which is principally in chapters 2 to 5, we've been discussing this for, well over a year, right? Chapters 2, 3, 4, and 5, we're discussing Karma Yoga. What is Karma Yoga? Karma Yoga is the yoga of action, right? Engaging in action. But engaging in action in such a way that we're not bound up in the results of our actions. And so what is this? This is known as Nishkama Karma Yoga. Acting Nishkama. Kama means desire, Nishkama means no desire. So no desire to enjoy the fruit. So I'm acting to perform my duty. So Krishna is teaching one should perform one's duty. And if you perform your duty without attachments to the results, you're doing it because this is what I should be doing, then Krishna says repeatedly throughout Bhagavad Gita that then there is one doesn't experience the results of one's activities. In other words, one becomes liberated from the results of one's actions. And so this is proper action. This is Karma Yoga, right? And of course, in a higher sense, and particularly as how Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada constantly, translating and commenting in light of the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita, that one should actually perform actions for the pleasure of Krishna. This is real Karma Yoga. This is Bhakti Yoga, means to act out of love, in a loving relationship with the Supreme Lord. So then Krishna. Then one performs actions for the pleasure of our spiritual master and Krishna. And so this is real yoga. This is the highest yoga. In other words, Karma Yoga, just in the basic Karma Yoga level, it frees one from karmic reaction. If we're not attached to the results of our activities and we're performing our duty, then there is no karmic reaction to those actions. But it's not taking us to the spiritual world. Right? So it's freeing us, liberating us from the results of those activities, but it's not transporting us to the spiritual world. It's Bhakti Yoga, love for Krishna, that transports us to the spiritual world. So Bhakti Yoga is the highest yoga. So Krishna has been talking about this Karma Yoga, throughout chapters 2 to chapter 5. In chapter 6, Krishna then begins to describe Dhyana Yoga, more like the meditation yoga or mystic yoga. Then in chapters 7 through 12, Krishna describes, his nature as the Supreme Lord and the nature of Ishvara, the Supreme Controller, Krishna. It reveals his universal form, his Vishvarupa, and he describes bhakti. Then in chapters 13 to 18, Krishna begins very much like it's known as the Jnana Yoga section, or the Jnana section of the Gita. It's very much about Sankhya, or analysis, and just the nature of this material world and the nature of the soul and its being separate from the body is again described. And then chapter 18 is like a summary and then also a conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. So anyway, we're in chapter 5 here, which is Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada is entitled Karma Yoga, Action in Krishna Consciousness. And so this section of this chapter we're describing, the verses can be grouped together. Different people group them together differently. But here I've grouped this section of verses from chapters 7 to 12, as working without attachment. So the first 6 verses were work in devotion is better than renunciation of work. So again, this idea of like Arjuna wanting to renounce work, and but Krishna firmly telling him, no, karma yoga, action, performing one's duty in a detached manner, without attachment to the results. This is the easiest path. If we try to renounce action, but we're not actually renounced, we're just renouncing it because, hey, it's a bummer and I don't want to do it. But I want to engage in other actions. This isn't real renunciation. Real renunciation is when someone is detached. They're detached. So if we're just, in other words, if you just don't want to do something because it's a bummer, that's like a what you'd have to call negative attachment, sort of like the opposite of positive attachment. Oh, I want to do it. I want to do that because I want to get the fruit and I'm attached to it. Okay, that's like a positive action, or attachment. And then there's a negative attachment, which is like, oh, no, I don't want to do that. Ooh, no, that's unpleasant. Ooh, yuck. I won't like that. So, fruitive work is like, yeah, I really want to do it because I want to enjoy the fruit, and yeah, I'm totally into it because I'm going to get to enjoy myself, or I'm going to get the the goodies that I want, and it's going to be great, and I'm into it. And the reverse of that is like, no, I'm not into it at all. No, that's a bummer. Oh, I don't like that. That's too hard. Right? Whereas real renunciation is like actual renunciation. There have been two kinds, like for the jnani, is like they understand, hey, this world's a bummer. It's not just that I don't want to do it, but I want to do other things instead. It's like, no, I realize this world's a miserable place, and it's a bit like Lord Buddha. He when he understood the real nature of this world, after having a servant have him show and explain to him, well, hey, yeah, like that person over there, that's a sick person. Oh, wow. Does everyone get sick? Yep, everyone gets sick. Okay. And that's an old person. Oh, old person. Wow. Does everyone get old? Yep. and that's a dead person. There's a funeral taking place, and they're going to go and burn that person's body down on the river. And everyone dies. So then Lord Buddha's like, hey, I got to find a solution to this. He says to his father, the king, if you're in a house you can't stop someone. If you're in a house on fire, you've got to find a solution to it. This is Lord Buddha's, pursuing the path of seeking a solution to the problems of life through his process that he taught. So that's like a that's a jnani, or somebody who realizes the bummer of this world and wants to achieve liberation from it. In other words, essentially cessation of existence. It's such a bummer, I just want to cease existing. So unfortunately some people try to achieve this through physical suicide. So that's a bummer, that's a disaster. Then they don't achieve anything, just future suffering for themselves and suffering for others that they leave behind. Then there's the impersonalists and the Buddhists who try to cease engaging in action and achieve liberation, either by merging into the Brahman and becoming everything, which is the impersonalist, or the Buddhist who tries to cease existing and become nothing, nirvana, right? Nirvana, snuff out the candle, right? Become nothing, right? But the Vaishnava renunciate is like renounces everything and does everything for the pleasure of Krishna. This is real renunciation. So a real renunciate, this is the same as a person who's engaging in bhakti yoga, but maybe in a household situation or whatever. They're engaging actions, but they're engaging in actions for the Supreme Lord. So they're renouncing the fruit. So this is real renunciation. This is real Karma Yoga, renunciation of the fruits of action. So this is what, and Krishna says, this is better than not acting. Right? So this is Karma Yoga. So, so Krishna established that. Then in the next 6 verses, Krishna starts to describe more the working without attachment. And so in last week's verse, Krishna said, that one who performs his duty without attachment, this is text 10, Sangam Tyaktva, so giving up attachment. One who performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme God, to Brahmani, is not affected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. And so, of course, this is exactly what Arjuna is wanting to hear, right? Because he's so worried that he's going to be affected by sinful reaction. And now Krishna is telling him, look, if you give up attachment to the results, and surrendering the results, then you're not going to be affected by the sinful action, just as a lotus leaf is untouched by water. So then Krishna expands upon this further in tonight's verse, text 11. The yogis, abandoning attachment, use the same word, Sangam Tyaktva, act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses, only for the purpose of purification. Kayena manasa buddhya, kevalai rindriyai rapi, yogina kamakovanti, sangam tyaktva tma sudaye. So kayena is with the body, manasa is with the mind, buddhya with the intelligence. Kevala is purified, or merely, solely, alone, or wholly, or with only indrayihi, with the senses, and api, even with. So, with the body, mind, and senses, and the intellect, body, mind, and the intellect, or even just with the senses. So, the yogis, or the Krishna conscious persons, the yoginaha, yogis, the karma yogis, karma, actions, kavanti, they act or they perform. So he's in the body, the mind, the buddhya or the intelligence, even with the senses. The performing action. Sangam, attachment or clinging, tyaktva, giving up, abandoning or having abandoned, atma, self or own, sudaye, for the purpose of purification. So acting with the body, mind and intelligence and the senses, or even just only with the senses, for the purpose of purification. So, what is this purification? Right? What are these methods of purification? So like the best method of purification is the chanting of the holy names of Krishna. So in other words, we're contaminated. What are we contaminated with? We're contaminated with all these, with so many things, but we're contaminated with ignorance. We don't know who we are. We don't know what the goal of life is. We don't know who Krishna is. We don't know what this material world is. So we're thinking I'm the central enjoying agent. I am this body and this world exists for my pleasure. So we're contaminated by this sense of false ego, ahankara, this sense that I'm the doer, that I'm the enjoyer. And we're contaminated with, and as a result of that, we're contaminated with all kinds of sinful desires, and we engage in sinful activities. We cause pain and suffering to others. So much so, like in the West, it's like a total diet, like the eating, right? The meat industry is like it's founded upon just everybody's meals that they eat all day is founded upon incredible suffering for other living entities, for the animals, right? The cows and the pigs, the sheep, the chickens, right? They go through an incredible amount of misery and suffering, like just abhorrent industries, terrible industries. It is called, it's just dismal, right? Totally dismal. So, but there's a reaction, for everybody who is involved in this process of raising the animals for slaughter and killing the animals for slaughter and transporting them to the shops and serving them up in the shops and then buying them in the shops and then eating them. We're just eating sinful reaction. We're eating sin, right? The whole process is sinful, and we're eating the animals, and we're getting the sinful results. In the future, we're going to experience suffering. We can experience that suffering now as we experience the diseases that come from it, and we experience suffering in the future as we have to be killed and eaten by others. So the devotee or the yogin or the yogi acts for the purpose of self-purification. So what's the best purification? Of course, this is chanting of Krishna's holy names. Right? This is the greatest sacrifice that one can perform, is Sankirtan Yagna. Right? This is the sacrifice for this age. Right? The religious process for this age is to engage in chanting of the holy names of the Lord. Lord Chaitanya's first prayer begins with Chaito Dharpana Marjanam. Chaito Dharpa Marjanam, cleansing this Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam. All glories to the Shri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart and the mind, or the chitta, the consciousness, of all the dust accumulated for lifetimes. So chanting Krishna's holy names, this is the greatest purificatory activity one can engage in. In the commentaries to this verse, the different commentators, some of them mention, hearing and chanting, hearing about Krishna's pastimes. So absorbing one's mind in Krishna's nama, rupa, guna, and lila. Nama, his name; rupa, his form; guna, his qualities; and lila, his pastimes. So engaging one's mind in Krishna's, hearing about and remembering Krishna's activities and pastimes, this is purifying. Using the buddha, buddhi or intelligence. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, Krishna in so many places talks about the importance of buddhi or buddha, using buddhi, and how important purified buddhi is, right? Purified intelligence. In other words, being able to analyze and make the right decisions. Using our intelligence to decide, I'm going to engage in devotional service. I'm going to take to this process of hearing and chanting the holy names of the Lord. So and our thinking, feeling, and willing, engaging all of this in Krishna and Krishna's service. So this is purification. And as we become purified in this way, then we give up attachment. As Krishna says here in this Sangam Tyakva. So giving up, abandoning. So I was talking earlier about how attachments to the fruits, to the results of our activities, this is what binds us to this world. It's entangling. It's like getting stuck in a spider's web, Like, Prabhupada talks about the tar baby, where no matter what you do to try and get free, you just get more caught. If you try and push it away where your hand gets more stuck. If you try and kick it away, your foot gets stuck. You're trying to untangle something and you just get more tangled up. And so this is the nature of activity in this world. We become more entangled. We enter into more relationships. We get more attached. It's like when the baby's born, it's really just attached to its mother. And then as the baby grows older, well, it makes friends. Now the attachments are growing. I've got friends. And I get given toys, and so I get attached to my toys. So now, so the attachment continues to grow. And my circle of friends grows, and my circle of family members who I'm attached to grows. Oh, I've got grandparents. Oh, I've got uncles and aunties and cousins and second cousins. And great-grandparents, possibly. So my circle of attachment grows, and then I get older, and wow, look at that beautiful girl. If I'm a man, male, I'm thinking, look at that beautiful girl. I remember I used to sit in school, and when I was young, very young, anyway, and this girl started school. I think I was in the 4th grade, and she was from England. She was a very pretty girl. I was just besotted with her. Then one day she turned around and said, why do you keep looking at me? So that was like, okay, that's the end of that. That was embarrassing. But anyway, like this attachment forms, through the senses, we become attached. And then we become entangled. Oh, I'm always thinking of this beautiful girl. I'm always thinking of this handsome man. And then we actually get attached, link up, union, yoga, right? So then I become even more attached, and then I have my own children, and oh my God, now I'm attached to them, and their stuff, and my job, and what I'm doing, my house I'm living in. Anyway, this circle of attachment, we just become bound up. But Krishna is saying here, that the yogis abandoning attachment. So we give up this attachment. How do you give it? You can't just give it up. As Krishna says in chapter 2, forget the verse number, but you have to have a higher taste. By having a tani savani samyam ya yukta sita matpara. Anyway, having a higher taste, one is able to give up this material attachment. It's like you have a kid and he's playing with something, but it's harmful for him. Maybe he's picked up a pair of scissors and he's kind of poke himself with them. You go to take the scissors. Oh, no, mine, you can't have it. I'm not going to give it up. You try and take it up and they start crying. Parent goes, oh my God, I don't want to go through it. But hey, oh look, I've got this toy for you. Oh, right. So then the kid will take the other object. So they'll give up the lower thing and take the higher thing. So here Krishna is saying, by abandoning attachment. Okay, so we have to abandon attachment by attaining a higher taste, and act with our body, mind, and intelligence, and even with the senses, for the purpose of purification. So in the purport, I'll just read this little part from the purport. So Bhaktivedanta Swami describing a person in Krishna consciousness, or the yogi that Krishna is referring to. He has no false ego, nor does he believe that he is this material body, nor that he possesses the body. So this is like the negatives. We don't have these negative understandings. He has no false ego, doesn't believe that he is the material body, like Krishna established in texts 8 to 9, that we're not the body is just acting independently, right? Material nature. So nor does he believe that he's material body, nor that he possesses the body. He realizes it's not even his body. Heck, it's not my body. We keep talking about my body, but actually it's not my body. It belongs to Krishna. He's created it. The material energies are all his. It's not actually mine. And then now Bhaktivedanta Swami states the positive. He knows that he is not this body, and that this body does not belong to him. He himself belongs to Krishna, and the body too belongs to Krishna. When he applies everything produced of the body, mind, intelligence, words, life, wealth, etc., whatever he may have within his possession, to Krishna's service, he is at once dovetailed with Krishna. He is one with Krishna and is devoid of the false ego that leads one to believe that he is the body, etc. So this is the purification. So we should act for the purpose of purification, engage in those processes and activities that purify us, and give up attachment to this material world, and place our attachment on Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Haribo, Namaste, Krishna. Thank you so much for watching. And next week, Chapter 5, Text 12.